Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Brear, and welcome to episode 82 of the 11FS FinTech Insider Breakfast Show. In this show, we bring you the best and the brightest from around the fintech and banking landscape every single weekday straight into your homes at 8:30 BST, here, live and on LinkedIn. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Rodolphe Darves-Bornoz, who is the co-founder of Sipios. I'm pretty sure I've kind of almost certainly murdered the pronunciation of at least one of those things, but Rodolphe, you're going to correct me very shortly, I'm sure. On today's show, we're going to be taking a little bit of a closer look about how Sipios has been helping SMEs during COVID-19 through innovative and fast-delivered solutions. I mean, there's a lot of change that's been happening in the market, and I think particularly in this market, you guys have been doing some really interesting things. So, good morning, Rodolphe. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good morning.
How was that pronunciation? Was I nearly there? Because I mean, I practiced a little bit, but I'm not going to guarantee I got that perfect.
I must say it was pretty impressive. So I would say Darves-Bornoz in French, but Darves-Bornoz in English is perfect. And Sipios was delivered perfectly. Thank you.
Well, see, practice makes perfect, doesn't it? So as always, guys who are watching this over on LinkedIn, we love getting your questions. So if you want to leave any questions, leave any comments, hit them into the sidebar over on LinkedIn, and we'll answer those things live for you as we go. So maybe to start us going, tell us a little bit about Sipios. Like, what is it that you guys do?
Sure. Our ambition at Sipios is to turn banks and insurance companies into tech leaders. So we do that by conceiving and developing apps, tech apps for our clients. And for instance, we've developed neobanks, online banks, robo-advisors, for instance. And well, the reason our clients come to us is because we build products that people love eventually, either they are clients or employees, and we do that by building tech robust products that are scalable, evolutive, and compliant.
Fantastic. And I mean, that's very relevant to everything obviously that's happening in this period now, and almost the COVID-19's acceleration of a lot of those trends in terms of digital and what people need from digital. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But I mean, tell us a little bit more about your background then. I mean, what led you to founding the company?
So I have it was a long path. I have this background in literature, law, and finance, so very diverse. And then I started the first company right after school. I sold it 6 years ago, but it was a very small company. Then I joined very inspiring leaders at Theodo, and it's a web development company. And soon I became CPO with them, so dedicated to product. And when I wanted to go back to starting a company, we talked together. I find my partner Woody at Theodo, and then we thought there was this incredible opportunity in fintech. So we launched Sipios, and basically what we see is well, finance is a world that people don't like for good reasons sometimes. But we believe it should be at least transparent or maybe even lovable. And so I think it makes a good opportunity to look at this industry. And then since 2008, obviously there's been a lot of pressure, of challenges in the industry with low interest rates, very tough regulatory pressure, and a lot of newcomers or challengers in the industry. So that made the good background to launch Sipios in the fintech industry.
That's interesting. So you're going from literature to entrepreneurialism. That difference there. I mean, was that scary, or is this something that you just sort of took to in terms of being an entrepreneur, starting a business, running a business? Because that's a lot of people find that first leap the most scary part, but you seem to have taken to it really well.
Yeah, I actually never felt this leap. I think I ended up being an entrepreneur by chance. I didn't feel that there was the big day when I actually started. I started working my project. Eventually, I tried making money out of it, and I was an entrepreneur. So that was the beginning of the story.
Fantastic.
So no scary moment actually. I
Yeah,
would say.
that's good. It's when you take to these things easily, then actually that shows what the future holds, really, which is exciting. I mean, how have you, obviously in this period that we're in with right now, with everything that's happening with COVID, how have you guys kind of dealt with? I mean, how have you been impacted by it? But also, just remote working is a very full-time remote working is a very different sort of challenge, isn't it? How have you guys sort of coped with moving to that?
Yeah, it was a challenge. We actually moved very fast because on Sunday, the 15th of March, so right before the French president announced the lockdown, our main client called us and called me at 11 p.m. And so it was on Sunday night.
Wow.
And he told me, well, you need to get ready to spend the next 2 months or so remotely, and we need you to be fully operational. So work your way around. You just need to find a solution to do so. And on Monday morning, we were all up and running, because in the meantime we called everybody from the company between 11:30 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. Asking them to decide whether they wanted to stay in Paris or go somewhere in the countryside, find the place where they would be in the best conditions to work remotely. And we were fortunate enough to have everybody do so in the following hours. So no, at the whole hands meeting in Monday morning, on Monday morning, we were a remote company.
Wow, that's amazing. I like to say, to when you're a sort of truly digital organization by nature anyway, making those changes you can
Yeah.
do quite quickly, can't you? But I mean, how has the experience of being in lockdown in Paris, but also France more broadly then? How has that played out?
Well, it's been very strict in the beginning. A complete lockdown for almost a month. We only had 1 hour per day that we could spend outside working and stuff. Fortunately, as you mentioned, we have by definition a job that is easily doable remotely. So we already had all the tools we need, VPNs, to operate at different locations. But no, it was pretty intense. And actually, what people tell me the most is they really miss the connection with people, and the interaction. So we tried to recreate this with, obviously with Zoom, Discord and stuff, but it was a challenge. And now, we started reopening our offices. I think it was 2 months ago now. It's been quite a while, but limiting the number of people that could be in the office at the same time.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's another dynamic to deal with in terms of running a company, isn't it? But it feels like the reaction in France more broadly has been really well managed. Can you tell us a little bit about the Bpi France setup? Because actually there was some really interesting changes that happened there that seemed to react to the needs of the market very quickly and ultimately get money in people's hands, right? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, first, Bpi France role is to support economic growth in France. And they do that by helping entrepreneurs and SMEs in many ways, but mostly by financing them. And when President Macron in France announced the launch of a plan of guaranteed loans, he announced a 300 billion euro plan of guaranteed loans. Bpi France was asked to create a platform that would deliver a unique certificate for every entrepreneur that was asking a loan. So the idea was to prevent fraud by attaching a certificate to every request. And we were lucky enough to have them ask us to help them on this mission. So basically, we had 5 days and 5 minutes to deliver this app. And to allow the deployment of this prêt garanti par l'État, which is a sort of a PPP in France.
Yeah, fantastic. That's huge, and to be asked to help with that in a such a time of need as well is a huge honor, isn't it, in terms of sort of being brought into solving those problems. So, I mean, how quickly did you guys manage to then get loans out of the door? Because exactly as we sort of said a second ago, these organizations were really struggling in that period, weren't they? So time really was of the essence.
Yeah, you're right. Well, first you mentioned it was an honor, and it truly was. Plus, it was we were very lucky to actually be able to be actors of what was going on, and um, a lot of my friends are entrepreneurs, and their business just disappeared overnight, and we were lucky to be super active in the period, and thank Bpi for that.
Mm.
So when it comes to delivering the loans, so we had these 5 days to launch the certification app, and then the loans were delivered. The first loans were granted in less than 5 days after we released the app. So basically, if I remember well the figures, we had 500,000 companies, more than 500,000 companies asking for this loan. And they asked for more than 1 billion euros. So this is the main channel of funding that was deployed in France, and it wasn't pretty very quickly.
Fantastic. I mean, and the amount of organizations, the amount of SMEs that their businesses would have been saved through this process, that must make you feel really proud.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's only the first step, and obviously was an emergency plan to help them stay alive at this moment and preserve employment. But now we have challenges ahead, as you obviously know, and you probably have. I mean, you have the same in the UK, but that's no, it makes us super proud, and we are very grateful that Arnaud Codou, Mathieu Elouin, Sébastien Monchamp, the executives at Bpi France trusted us on this mission.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic because, I mean, it really shows the power of what fintech can really do. I think that's been the most amazing thing in this period is, if you want a group of people who have got great technological experience, who can move really quickly, who really understand the consumer's problems, this is what this is what fintech can do, which is phenomenal. I mean, it's been interesting because I'm sure as we have as well, many different countries have sort of approached this in quite different ways. But I mean, what's your opinion in terms of the most important component of really sort of helping people through this period? Because I mean, there is speed, there's fundamentally just getting money, but I mean, there's lots of different things, aren't there, that actually really contribute to helping SMEs in this period.
Yeah, I think speed has been detrimental, but how did we manage to be fast? It's because I think the state guarantee was detrimental. It made a huge difference because it made it less risky for banks to actually grant the loans. So it wasn't the state that granted the loans; it was banks. But then the question was how would it impact the balance sheets? And by granting the loans up to 90%, the state made it super easy for them to grant these loans. So that's probably a very French way to answer it. That the state was detrimental in the answer, but I think it was. They were actually pretty efficient. On this regard.
And what do you think the sort of future holds then? Obviously, if you say, for the last couple of months, your office has been open, and actually, I mean, we had Claire Calmajan from SocGen on a couple of weeks ago, and actually she said very similar, that actually the world is sort of coming back to life now, albeit it has a slightly different vibe to it. I mean, are you quite hopeful that the SMB market will sort of come out of the COVID period stronger?
Well, I think the short-term response was probably the best possible. Now I'm a little concerned about what comes next, and that's why we are actually we keep helping Bpi France and other organizations launching new products to support SMEs in particular, because between unemployment and the coming months are going to be very challenging, and so obviously it's important to provide with financing options. I think the way this financing is used is going to be critical in the efficiency of the answer. So whether it's used to finance short-term expenses or investing in differentiating assets, I think that will make the difference. And
does that?
I think it's too soon yet to know what is going on and how it's going to end up. But I think that's the.
What does that change your mission? Because obviously, Sipios's impact here has been really significant. I mean, does this allow you to sort of almost accelerate your success along that mission because of really the opportunity that's sort of come along? So, how will this change your company over the next 6 months, do you think?
Yes. Well, I told you before that we launched Sipios because we saw this. The fact that people don't like finance usually, the public, and that's mainly due to the fact that 15 years ago we had this crisis where finance was the cause of the crisis, and now we see finance can be part of the solution. So I think that's a fantastic time for us to actually succeed in our mission and want to equip the ones that are building the solutions to get appropriate and easily funding, so I think it is actually accelerating our growth and our impact on the industry.
And the industry, I mean, France and fintech in France really has accelerated. So, I mean, the last probably 2 to 3 years, there's been such a kind of an explosion of opportunity there. What do you think has really sort of led to that change? Because I mean, in most markets that we work with, it starts with the regulatory change or government intervention. But has it been a similar spark in France?
Well, we definitely have the same regulatory pressure. Most of it comes from the European Union. I think what we finally have in France is also a generation of entrepreneurs that are trained, that managed to launch companies successfully during the first decade of the century, and then now they have credibility, they have experience, they have easier access to funding, and they take on bolder challenges. And I think that's what we've noticed recently is very talented entrepreneurs attacking serious matters. So.
Yeah, it feels like that community has really sort of been built up there. There's a good question for you over on LinkedIn, actually. So Adil Dewan says, which fintechs in France are you most excited about? Obviously, not just yours, but what other companies are you particularly excited about right now?
Sure. Well, I think Conto is a pretty exciting scale up in France. They are a neobank for SMEs. You probably know them, and they're doing a great job. And actually, we worked with them at some point. They have this lean approach that we share, and the focus on their users. I know you're a fan of job to be done theory, and we share this approach as well. And so I like their focus on the users, and I think that doing a fantastic job. Alan, it's more in the insurtech sector, but Alan is doing a fantastic work as well. And more recently, we've started working with young startups, and some are trying to help. I mean, I'm thinking of Togo. We just started working with them. They're actually building their startup right now, and it's a competitor of FinFrog. You might know them. They want to help you find access to funding to finance very small loans at a cheaper rate than the banks offer. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be very useful in the period.
Well, and that type of thing, as you say, it's almost seed capital investment potential for really small fintechs to kind of get that first step, isn't it? And as you say, it's the generations as these things go forwards means that as that community builds out and as funding gets easier and as consumers get used to using products from companies that are really focused on sort of providing a value to them, the world changes quite dramatically, doesn't it? So it's been fantastic to see the French ecosystem really accelerate over the last couple of years. And actually, I think, I mean, you guys are probably going to be one of the benefiters of Brexit, I imagine, in terms of everything that goes on from a talent perspective, because it all begins with having, as you said, talented groups of entrepreneurs who don't know any better than just giving it a go and trying to fix something, doesn't it? But what sort of is on the horizon then for Sipios? Because obviously with this change, with this responsibility and you guys, smashing it out of the park in terms of everything that you've done from a lending perspective, this gives you the opportunity to really step into bigger and bigger things, doesn't it? So what's on the horizon? What are you excited about getting into next?
Well, we've been lucky enough to have clients that asked us more involvement during the crisis. So we're super grateful for that, and we actually have new clients in the period, and we're beginning new exciting projects. So that's great, and hopefully we have. So we've done that so far in France, and hopefully we'll start projects abroad, and maybe in the UK, maybe we can work together on such projects. So that's that's pretty much the idea for the next the coming month.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations with all the success. It's it was as we said, it was a great honor for you guys to be asked to get involved in something like that. And I imagine it must have been quite scary, but it looks like you guys absolutely smashed it out of the park. So congratulations with the success, and fully expect there to be much more goodness sort of coming out of that space. So thank you so much for joining us anyway. Where can people find out a little bit more about you and the great things that you're up to with the company?
Well, thank you. Well, you can definitely reach me on LinkedIn, write me a message. I answer all of your messages. And thank you, David, for having me today.
No problem at all. That's all we have for you today, I'm afraid. It's just about coming to the top of the hour, so we really better let everybody sort of get on with what they're doing. Tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by, and we're really interesting show, actually. It's going to be, as we sort of said, as we're sort of changing up the flow of the shows a little bit and mixing up our morning routines. But tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by Felicia Merowitz-Singh, who is from Aconi. They've been doing some really interesting things over the last couple of months, and actually a lot longer back than that as well. But don't miss out on that one. It's sure to be very interesting. But as I said, that's all we have for you today. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, usual time, 8:30. Goodbye.